The digital campus is a vision designed with the University of Dundee in mind, but that has applications in the wider higher education sector. It's aimed at 2020 with the view that getting our core systems into shape is going to take 3 to 5 years. It's also going to act as an illustration of not only why we need to transform, but the prizes that lie in wait for us if we were to fully embrace the changes that are going to need to happen. This vision has been inspired by a number of different people and organisations to whom I need to give some credit. The work the British government is currently carrying out as part of the Digital by Default project has set the benchmark in many ways for how public organisations can utilise the web and the digital ecosystem as a whole to better engage with their users and reduce costs. Paul Boag of Headscape has long been an advocate of digital transformation, and his latest book, Digital Adaptation, supported by his excellent podcasts, have sparked the imagination of many, myself included. The Digital Campus from Precedent, in addition to their work on daring to be digital, set the foundation for the thoughts in this presentation and set the challenge to become a digital champion that this presentation is in response to. Finally, the University of Dundee's transformation agenda has set a challenge before us to become the leading university in Scotland within 25 years. It is an ambitious agenda which I firmly believe needs to have the web and digital transformation at its heart if it's going to succeed. The world in which we live is changing at a faster pace than any other time in history. Social, cultural and technological changes are disrupting the way we work and interact with each other. The digital revolution has caused more upset to industries such as film, music, news than any other worldly problems in the last 10 years. Stalwarts of these industries like HMV, Tower Records, Blockbuster, major news organisations have folded because they haven't transitioned into the digital world. The once safe corridors of university establishments are also being rocked and in danger of crumbling if we not only change, but fail to embrace the tides of change that are sweeping in. Professor Carol Lydecker of the University of Dundee said in a recent talk that the university was facing a market that was different to the ones it faced only a few years ago. Universities need the ability to not only change, but also to change quickly in response to new trends entering the market. Change is coming, and it's coming in every area that the university currently does business. The way that students gather information has forever been changed. Where once a lecturer and a pile of books in the library was the sole source of information, multiple alternative streams have now become available in the form of videos, podcasts, interactive resources, as well as the myriad websites providing a varying quality of resource. Teaching students to find information is no longer a problem, but discerning the quality of the information is. We no longer need to be located in the same location as our information in order to get at it, and as the world gets that bit busier, the ability for people to learn at a distance and across time zones becomes suddenly more attractive. The data that is collected using modern research methods is overwhelming. Big data represents real challenges to the university in not only how we store and process it, but how we can make that information available to others in a collaborative and secure environment that spans time zones as well as disciplines. As the global economy starts to peek its head out of the recent recession, we find a landscape that's shifting under our feet. The traditional funding routes of the past have suddenly become not so reliable. Instead, a new landscape of microfunding is rising as a possible alternative whereby the masses pay a little towards a cause or a product they believe in or want to provide a funding stream to that can eclipse the balance sheets of past multinationals. At the root of all this change sits technology. The digital revolution has brought about more changes in cultural and social norms than previous world wars have managed. A mere 7 years ago the first iPhone was launched at a time when Facebook was still in its infancy and Twitter had only just been founded. 7 years on, the majority of us carry smartphones, sit connected with friends and family across continents via Facebook, and watch the rise and fall of governments, all organised via Twitter. Change has happened and shows no sign of slowing down. With the web being such an integral part of this change and capable of delivering so much change, there are a couple of questions we have to ask ourselves. Where is the web going? Is the first one, and we have to admit that we don't really know. We can take some educated guesses, but the beauty of the web is that a game-changing application can come along at any time, provided by just about anyone. and the barrier to providing that game changer is being lowered all the time through more and more services and infrastructure being made available in the cloud. Secondly, we have to ask ourselves, where is it taking us? Now, if the answer to the first question is that we don't know, then we have to confess that we're certainly not sure about the second either. What we do know is that we need the ability to change, and to change quickly. Our guide through these murky waters that the future presents is the university vision that is pushing us forward and already asking difficult things. Our reason for existing is simple. It's what we do today, and it's what we've always done. It's to transform lives locally, globally, through the creation, sharing and application of knowledge. Now, it's that creating, sharing and application of knowledge that is going to set us apart from the rest of the sector. Creating content is not something that we have difficulty with. We already create lots of it. But the problem is making sense of all that information and seeing how it relates to other bits of information. Information in isolation can give us incorrect or incomplete pictures with which to base our decisions. It's the interlinkages between data that provides real power and allows us to make sense of our world and gain a better understanding of what it is we're looking at. The sharing of information is not a new concept to the human race and is something that comes naturally to us. We have evidence of very early attempts by humans to communicate information in the form of cave paintings. A desire to spread information more widely led to carving information and transporting it on the very first tablet devices, albeit made of stone. Telephone, again, brought about a game changer where information could be distributed more widely still, crossing distance barriers like never before. And then radio came, whereby the masses could suddenly have access to current information all at the same time. Television brought a new visual medium that allowed one-way visual communication to the masses and allowed us to see people and places in moving image that brought the entire world into our own homes. Now, with the advent of the internet a mere 25 years ago, one-way communication of the television and radio era became two-way, and suddenly it became possible for the masses to contribute their own information to others in a way that had only been possible by large corporations in the past. Facebook and then Twitter in human terms aren't even out of primary school, and yet the power that they wield in being able to bring about change can be inspiring, if not frightening at the same time. So the sharing of data remains constant, but only the way in which we share it has changed. The business of a university is all about the sharing of information, and we must realise that how we do that is changing. But it also offers great inroads into markets that were once inaccessible, and possibilities that could only ever have been dreamed of. Now, there are two ways we apply our knowledge in order to make money as a university: through our teaching and our research. But arguably we do not apply our knowledge simply to make money, but also to make a difference. However, these two aspects of our service to the public often seem divorced from each other. The teachers teach and the researchers do research. However, there is an intrinsic link between the two. We need to have great teachers to bring on the people who will do the world-leading research, but we also need our researchers to build the foundations and inspire the teachers and researchers of the future to continue the cycle. So how do we make progress towards becoming an institution capable of bringing about change and reaching our target of becoming the leading university in Scotland? We need to make progress, but we can't do that without change, and change is never easy. I firmly believe that if we are to succeed in our goals, we need to adopt a digital by default stance. Now, there is one thing that being digital by default is not, and it's a common idea amongst those who are not in the digital native market. It's not simply having a website that contains your information that you wish to provide to people. Arguably anyone could do that and still not see any real tangible benefit. So what is it all about? It's about delivering services online. The UK government has arguably spearheaded this approach recently that has seen their financial undertakings in delivering the web drop by £50 million. I would argue that there are three different components to becoming digital by default. First of all, well-defined processes are at the heart of any good service, whether it be online or offline. Our goal is to know how best to handle each problem that comes our way in an efficient manner that sees the transaction being completed quickly and easily each and every time. Technology is the main driver through which we deliver our processes and ensure that they are completed in a safe, secure, compliant and efficient manner. And it's through these processes and the correct use of technology that we deliver and receive the right content to the right person at the right time in the correct format. Unfortunately, we very often end up delivering the wrong content too late and sometimes to the wrong person in a format that is of no use to them, and that unfortunately costs us money. So why move to becoming digital by default? For any major business change, there has to be tangible benefits to doing so. Initial outlays for our systems can be steep and require large investments of time and energy, but over time we should see the costs of individual transactions being driven down. For example, consider buying a tax disc for your car. It's cost the government a great deal of money to implement online systems for this. But now that they're there, because it is a streamlined process requiring minimal human interaction, the cost per transaction plummets. Digital transactions can take place at a much faster pace than manual processes, and it can be scaled to deal with much larger numbers. Again, considering our tax example, I no longer have to go and look out my insurance and MOT documents, go to the post office, wait in queues just to get a tax disc. 5 minutes online and it drops through the letterbox a few days later. Becoming digital increases the flexibility of the system to our users as well. The days of businesses being open 9 to 5, Monday to Friday are gone. Increasingly, we are expected to deliver a service 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days in the year. Manning those services for those times would buckle the knees of any financial director, but digital systems can overcome these barriers. It also becomes easier to build in monitoring for these systems to automatically flag any potential problems that are arising. Downtime can cost money and satisfaction rates. We can also more closely target our digital systems to end users rather than trying to provide every bit of information to every user. By cutting down this flood of information, the confidence rates of those using the system increases, transactions increase, and everyone is happy. Information is all of these things. It's expensive to create and store and process properly, but it's important we do this, because if we do, it creates information that is in turn becomes a valuable commodity and something that can be used to gain a head start. Getting students engaged early with the university is crucial. We're social and like to be part of a bigger group. And if we can foster that mentality in our prospective students, the conversion rates will go up. Unfortunately, at the moment, the interactions that we have with our students tend to be very ad hoc and not very well followed up. Interactions are logged to a certain extent, but communication tends to break down as the scale of tracking and engaging with every single prospective student is immense. Consider instead a system whereby all interactions are logged in a customer relationship management system. As well as providing a more consistent experience to all prospective students, it could perhaps through some clever machine logic learn about the person as more data on the person is added. As a simplistic example, any student who inquires about computing could be emailed interesting news stories that come up in the future regarding something related to the computing course. It increases the interest a user has about us, shows them what it's like to be there, and increases the conversion rates. Tying it in further to student record systems, staff and alumni databases as they progress their association with university gives much greater potential for targeting the correct information at the correct person at the correct time. As I've discussed previously, we love to share data, so we need to try and make all our data holding systems shareable by default. Whilst it could be argued that this makes our systems more insecure, it instead ensures that we lock down data rather than assuming it is locked down. By building on the concept of share within a secure context and building it in at the beginning, we can open up our data through the likes of APIs to allow others to make what they want of it. Big companies are increasingly doing this to allow crowdsourced ideas to flood in that would otherwise have been beyond budget. APIs also allow us to develop applications that rely on microdata to feed them information on demand. Consider a University of Dundee augmented reality application that sits on a student's mobile. Using the camera and GPS capabilities of the modern smartphone, coupled with microdata being sent from the university systems, we can start providing an augmented student experience that makes it easier for them to get to where they want to be. It could be trying to find free computers in the library, or trying to find your way to student services. We could be warning them of upcoming lectures and tutorials, and guiding them to the location. Tying in other such systems might allow us to warn students of problems elsewhere that might affect them as well. The mobile is fast becoming the medium through which most people are interacting with the online world. On-demand services are providing us with music, news, videos at the touch of a button, whenever and wherever we are. Students should have the same ability with university-generated information. Our university app, now tied in with our student management and VLE, gives up-to-date information on what is happening on a particular course, and it's specific to the student. Simple navigation allows the student to easily navigate the course area and see what's new. In this case, we see that there's something new in the lecture area. In an ideal world, each lecture would support lecture capture and quickly make lectures available in video format for review whenever a student wishes. Whether it be in the dorm room after hours, on the bus in the morning on the way to the next lecture, or sitting outside an exam hall doing last-minute studying. These applications also give us a great way to get feedback from students quickly and easily. We might want students to rate the lecture based on a variety of metrics, or perhaps, as in this case, an overall rating. We could encourage them to leave comments that feed back into our quality control mechanisms and ensure that each lecture is making an impact. We might also want to encourage conversations to happen based around the lecture material. This is a great way to get students working with other students to work out the details of things they weren't too sure about. It also allows lecturers to see where problems are arising and to quickly address them at the start of the next lecture. This constant feedback of information to and from students helps us to continually improve our courses and ensure high ratings in student satisfaction surveys. In making our course content available in a digital format, we make it really easy for students to access information wherever they are, and also to ensure that they're not missing out on vital information. Coursework is another area that can be fed in digitally and fed back digitally. Allowing students to keep all their coursework together in one place at the touch of a button encourages review to take place throughout the year and let them see their own progress. Feedback given by the course tutor can be easily accessed, and it also allows students to build up their own portfolio of work as they progress through their academic career. Feeding into essential career development modules like MyPDP that was pioneered by Dundee University Career Service allows quick and easy development work to be carried out by our support services as well. One of the most interesting things about becoming digital by default is the potential to monetize everything that we do. Development of resources can be costly and time consuming. However, once they've been developed in a digital manner, the cost of storage and transmission to just one or thousands of endpoints becomes almost negligible. Potentially everything that we do can create value, and we need to harness that. At the moment, the university is good at converting large items into revenue. By this I mean things like degrees and research. It's what universities have done for hundreds of years. However, these are high value items but relatively low volume compared to the global population. The decision period on whether to embark on a degree or fund research can take many weeks and months and rely on the high investment of staff time and resource in order to secure them. However, what the digital world offers us is the ability to start turning smaller items into larger funding streams through online purchasing. Whilst they are relatively low value, we can in some cases expect higher volumes. The lower value reduces the risk, so decision times drop, and once systems are in place to cope, staff time and resources are also low. As an example, consider the app stores that have arisen in recent years in mobiles. Apps are very often less than £1 to buy, and yet enjoy a large turnover of users. The low cost of these apps allows people to try it and lose very little if it doesn't meet their needs. The real trick to bringing about this increase in revenue is converting resources developed for the large items into bite-sized chunks that can be purchased in the low-cost realm. Things like recording lectures for the benefit of full-time students can suddenly become a revenue stream from people who have an interest in the subject but are not wanting to take a degree. We're already seeing the likes of Harvard making some of their lectures freely available online. Whilst this may seem like a mistake financially speaking by sucking revenue from a potential student intake, what it has done instead is whet the appetite of would-be students and raise the profile of the university. Bringing about this digital revenue is not easy. We need to ensure that our content is available in a wide variety of platforms and the experience is not diminished for a mobile user over a desktop user. As our staff and students spread over the globe or even simply hold different time clocks to the norm, we need to ensure that our systems become available throughout the day and night. We also need to ensure that our systems are available across time zones and in different countries that perhaps don't have the same high-speed access that we have on campus, and it all needs to be done in a secure and compliant fashion. These are the challenges that are facing even the largest businesses in the land and require significant investment of both time and money. But we must remember why we're doing this. It has been said that it's easier to convert a student if we can only get them onto campus. That was my experience of Dundee when I came as a prospective student. I was pretty sure that I was going to one of Dundee's rivals up until the point I came on the visit day. From that point on I was sold and never looked back. Let's bring the outside in. Let's let the world see what Dundee can do and how we support our students. Let's transform ourselves into an institution that is digital by default, one that has embraced the digital era and leads the world in a digital transformation and rides the wave of change for the benefit of our staff and students. If we can do that, if we can hold on to that ideal, the challenge of becoming the top university in Scotland gives way to us reaching for the title of best university in the world.